1 Corinthians chapter 2 says, "When I came to your brothers, I did not come with eloquence or superior wisdom, as I proclaimed to you the testimony about God. For I resolved to know nothing while I was with you, except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. I came to you in weakness and fear and with much trembling. My message and my preaching were not with wise and persuasive words, but with a demonstration of the Spirit's power, so that your faith might not rest on man's wisdom, but on God's power." My prayer tonight is that you do not see me and you do not hear my words. My prayer is that you see God at work in me. My name is Robin.
Hi, Robin.
I am a believer that struggles with pride, depression, fear, anger, and bitterness. And as a result of that, I struggle with food addiction. My struggle is finding the difference between human doing and human being. Everything I struggle with comes down to that. Tonight, I want to share with you the journey of that struggle and some of the deliverance I found. I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood, but I do remember a certain attitude I felt when I was quite young. I don't know if this was one taught to me or something that I came up with on my own. I grew up very close to my cousin. She was popular and outgoing and cheerful and beautiful, and she was sin. I wasn't. I was overweight. I had splotchy skin. I had 80s perm hair, and I was so incredibly shy. But something in me desired so earnestly to be special and accepted. What did I have to do to be special? Did you catch that? What did I have to do to be special? Human doing versus human being. I had it in my mind that I needed to make up for not being pretty. Everyone told me how smart I was, so I thought that is my chance to be special. If I couldn't be pretty, I'll be smart. But I still look back at my cousin. Why can't I be pretty too? Since everyone was playing into my brain, I was given more advanced work to do. My parents weren't able to help me with my homework past 4th grade or so. There seemed to be this attitude that since I was smart, I didn't need help. I even believed it. I know the beginnings of my unhealthy relationship with food began in childhood. I don't recall my parents telling me of starving children in Ethiopia, but I do recall the concept of the happy plates. If the plate was empty, the plate was happy. And I wanted the plate to be happy. How warped is it to want the acceptance of dishware? My mom played into this by buying me a Happy Meal from McDonald's when I didn't like what was being served for supper. She also sought acceptance, even from a child who didn't accept herself. My weight gain really escalated in the 6th grade. Sometime that year I slit my wrist. I didn't seriously hurt myself, but it scared a lot of people. My parents took me to my pediatrician, who diagnosed me with depression and put me on my first antidepressant. Life went on, and the depression got worse. I went to church every time the doors were open. I was always asking questions of everyone. No one had so much authority as to not be questioned. I don't know how I got to be so critical, so untrusting. I felt like if I had to prove myself, so did they. 2 significant events happened when I was 14. The first resulted in the second, and they both had devastating effects. One day, I had come home from school absolutely devastated because some little boy I was crazy about liked my friend and not me. My father tried to impart some wisdom, but instead said something stupid. It wasn't malicious, it was just stupid. He said a lot of stupid things, but so have I, and so have you. But this stupid thing was at a really bad time at a really formidable age. He said, "Robin, guys just don't like fat girls." It stuck. It haunted me. It was the beginning of what I came to call my false doctrine. Shortly after that, I had a massive meltdown and was placed in rehab. My first night there, I was placed in a padded room on suicide watch. I pitched a holy fit until they let me have a Bible. I wanted the pain to end, and I searched the pages for an answer. God brought me to the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 27. "My peace I give to you, my peace I live with you. I do not give as the world gives. So don't let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." It didn't make the pain go away, but I knew eventually things would be okay. I didn't know when, but eventually. After being coached by some other patients more experienced in the rehab scene, I played the game and got out in under a week. The only thing I learned in rehab was how to play the game of denial and secrecy. At age 15, I made a big decision. I went through the True Love Waits campaign at my church, where I promised to remain sexually abstinent until my wedding night. I promised this to myself, to God, to my future husband. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I heard my father's words. Robin, guys don't like fat girls. I said I made the promise because it's what God wanted. But really, I thought I might as well, because no one would ever want me. This was the next step of my false doctrine. I started to wear a purity ring to symbolize my vow. At age 16, my unhealthy relationship with food turned into a full-fledged eating disorder. I had my own car, which gave me more freedom and time to hit all those fast food restaurants in my neighborhood. I would do this after school, pull over somewhere and eat in my car. I couldn't take it home, even though my parents weren't there, because I had to do something with all the bags and wrappers. If I put them in the trash at home, they would know. So after I finished eating, I would take the trash and dump it at the gas station or somewhere, because littering is evil. Go home, maybe start cooking dinner, and eat again with my parents. I thought I was huge, but really, I was smaller than I am now. I graduated from high school in 1999 and left for a small Christian college in Tennessee. The depression got really bad out there. The binging got worse. Instead of the freshman 15, I had the freshman 50. This put me well over 200 pounds. I've always had a hard time making friends, and I didn't know anyone out there. I even started smoking cigarettes. My faith was so far away, it became a dot to me. In my second semester, I sat in my Greek professor's office trying to explain to him why I was dropping his class. He asked me if I was being attacked by demons. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't ask either. I didn't want to admit that I didn't know something. I didn't want to admit that I needed help. I really didn't even know how to ask for help. I left that school after 1 year and came home. But the demons I was fighting weren't in Tennessee. They were in me. I ended up transferring to UCA in Conway. I studied elective in Arkansas, and my psychiatrist wanted to take a more aggressive approach to treating my depression. In December of 2000, I started electroconvulsive therapy. It can be very effective, and some people have great results, but everyone is different. It didn't work for me, and I suffered some side effects, mainly memory loss. I had approximately 40 treatments in a little over a year and a half. I was still a full-time student during all of this. I still have nightmares of being lost on campus, not knowing where my classes were, frantically searching my backpack for my schedule. I almost flunked out of college. After I stopped the treatments, my psychiatrist changed my diagnosis to bipolar disorder. I was 21. Faith has always been hard for me. I repeatedly get caught in the insanity cycle between pride and grace, shame and honor, depression and comfort, doubt and acceptance. But my God knows me so intimately, more than I can ever even begin to know myself. And He knows how to get my attention. God used a Sunday school teacher to woo me back through my desire for intellectual stimulation. One of the first lessons I learned was it's okay to doubt. Asking questions actually deepens your faith. And I asked a lot of questions. But this teacher had a different way of teaching than my past teachers. When I asked a question, he didn't give me an answer. He asked me a question in return. He would give me guidance. If I asked about a passage in one part of the Bible, he would point me to another passage somewhere else. It was a holistic approach. It's not only Bible study, but to God. Isaiah 55:8 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." I had God in a box. I still struggled every day. The depression waxed and waned, but it was a part of my daily life. I could say that I had a lot of bitterness. I could say that I had a lot of anger, but really I think it was bitterness. I've learned that anger is a natural reaction, and it's okay if handled in a healthy way. But bitterness is a choice, and I chose to be bitter. Sometime late in 2004, I was driving around one Sunday morning avoiding church. Somehow I ended up on Keel, and I saw a sign outside a strip mall. Apparently there was a church back there, and they were having a sermon series on relationships. I saw that there was a service starting in just a few minutes, and I thought, why not? So I pulled in the parking lot and pulled in the Mercy's Cross for the first time. The sermon was about my relationship with God. After it was over, I had to tell someone about this, and who else am I going to call? But my old friend, Carmen Mallard. She came back with me the next Sunday. She's now the video guru here. In November of 2005, Carmen talked me into coming to celebrate recovery. My first night here, Nancy Norman gave her testimony about her eating disorder. Honestly, until that night, I didn't know I had an eating disorder. I really thought only skinny people had eating disorders. Seriously, that's what I thought. But here was a woman my size telling my story. Of course, the details were different. Nancy and I have had very different experiences. But I saw the common ground. I saw that I had a problem. Life did not get easier after coming out of denial. I hadn't even hit rock bottom yet, but it was coming. In the summer of 2006, my bipolar took a drastic turn and I became hypomanic. It felt great. I had never felt that good in my life, but I was spiraling out of control. I ate and ate and ate. I would eat as much as I could physically hold, and then would purge as much as I could. After I purged, I would go back and eat more. I was violently abusing my body. I gained 40 pounds in about 4 months. I had hit rock bottom and started digging. By the end of the summer, I was smoking 2 packs a day and weighed 265 pounds. On Saturday afternoon of Labor Day weekend in 2006, I was hanging out with a friend from work. He said he needed to run an errand, and I tagged along. We went to a neighborhood on the other side of town and stopped in front of a house. I had never been to a crack house, but I had seen them on TV, and that's what they look like. I knew he smoked marijuana, but I didn't know about the cocaine. I was livid. I was angry that he involved me. I was angry he was hurting himself. But then came my wake-up call. He said, "Robin, there is no difference between me using cocaine and you smoking cigarettes." That hit me hard. You see, he proclaimed to be an atheist, and over the years of our friendship, I tried to share the gospel with him. But he was right. Addiction is addiction, whether it's a legal chemical or an illegal chemical, or food or anger. My addictions were compromising my credibility to share the gospel. That was a Thursday. The next Monday, I put the cigarettes away, and I've been smoke-free since September 11th, 2006. However, I still struggle with an addiction to food. I knew that was next to conquer, and it was going to be immensely harder. I don't need cigarettes, but I do need to eat. I thought I did a lot of crying when I quit smoking, but really, I only cried for a week. When I started losing weight, I cried for 3 months. I took it slow. That first year, I lost 40 pounds, which is what I had gained the previous year. In 2008, I lost 50 pounds. January 29th of 2009 was a big day. If you were anywhere around my neighborhood and awake that Thursday morning at 4 o'clock, you'd have heard me scream. 165. I lost 100 pounds. Losing weight is the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's not the worst. I've survived. Back up to November of 2006, I went into a full manic state. In the course of 10 days, probably got an accumulation of 10 hours of sleep. Then I went into a deep depression. From that November to July of 2008, I had chronic insomnia, and I became addicted to prescription sleep aids. God has taught me a lot from Luke 18. The beginning of the chapter is the parable of the persistent widow. She repeatedly goes to the king with her request, and because she is so persistent, he finally grants her wish. At the end of the chapter are 2 blind men crying out to Jesus, "Son of David, have mercy on us." Jesus asked what they wanted, and they said, "We want to see." I believe that the Bible is the holy, inspired word of the Lord our God, and it is not an accident these 2 stories are together. So every night during my fight with insomnia, I prayed, "Son of David, have mercy on me. I want to sleep." But I had no faith. I would pray that prayer and take a pill, and that's not faith. In the summer of 2008, I talked to my psychiatrist about my medication causing my insomnia after I read some testimonials from other patients. We lowered that medication, and within 2 weeks, I was sleeping without drugs. The teacher, I called my rabbi, left his wife and his ministry here 2 years ago. He was more than just a teacher. He was like a brother to me. I didn't deal with the grief. In fact, I completely denied it was there. I threw myself into serving. I had grown so close to God, but I got so busy serving, I lost the intimacy we had. About that time, Scott started his yearly sex sermon series. I really think it's a good idea to discuss these things in church, but I really don't think I need to be there. But, par for course, Carmen talked me into it. Much to my dismay, I actually learned something useful. I knew it was time to deal with the false doctrine. The explanation of my false doctrine is very confusing, even to me. It started with my father's words. Guys don't like fat girls. So, since I saw myself as fat, I believed that men could not be attracted to me. But really, it went beyond that. I believe if a man were to find me attractive, it's because I had done something wrong, something that godly women don't do. Did you catch that? I had to do something. Human doing versus human being. I believe this wholeheartedly. I saw evidence to the contrary all around me, but still, I believed it. The false doctrine was crushed one day in an interaction with a man. He was a new friend, and we were having a conversation about our jobs. In the course of the conversation, I became aware that he was attracted to me, and I was attracted to him. The problem was, this man was married. I saw an opportunity to get some positive male attention, and I was very tempted. I was determined that the relationship would not get physical, but emotional affairs are just as detrimental. In 1 Corinthians 10:13, Paul says that no temptation has seized you except what is common to man. But God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. And when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. The day after my conversation with this man, as I considered my temptation, God gave me a way out. I looked down at my hand. My purity ring was gone. I was frantic. My heart stopped. I looked everywhere. I finally fell to my knees and cried out to God, I'm sorry. I will never speak to him again. I spent the next few weeks ridden with guilt. I racked my brain trying to figure out what I had done to promote his attraction to me. I asked God, what did I do? And I remembered human doing versus human being. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything. All I did was be myself. This was a new concept for me, that I can be attractive by being myself. Not doing, but being. This was the beginning of the end of the false doctrine. The recovery from this is ongoing, even today. I never found my original purity ring. Ended up getting a new one. But things were different this time. At 15, I didn't think anyone would ever want me. I didn't think I had a choice. But now I know I do. I do have a choice. The reasons may have changed over the years, but my decision is still the same. I'm waiting for my husband. I am totally aware of the possibility that marriage may not be in my future, or maybe it's a long time from now. God said wait. That's what I'm going to do. Right now, God is my husband. I went to C3 in February last year, and God had a lot to say. A lot. Basically, it came down to this. Robin, I miss you. Come back to me. Knowing God truly, deeply, intimately is the purpose of my creation. My true identity is as a child of God. I am not my own. I tend to forget that. Life is a journey. Recovery is a part of that journey. Honestly, I'm not doing very well in my relationship with food right now. And I'm also not where I want to be with my relationship with God. And I'm most certainly not where He wants me to be in our relationship. But He's not done with me yet. God is in the habit of doing the unexpected. Unfortunately, I'm in the habit of missing the obvious. What is obvious, though, is that He loves me. Zephaniah 3:17 says, the Lord your God is with you. He is mighty to save. He will take great delight in you. He will quiet you with His love. He will rejoice over you with singing. This is where I am right now. Last Thursday, I was given the opportunity to share this testimony with our brothers and sisters in Sherwood. The next day, the urge hit me, and I needed a fix. If you struggle with addiction or you have loved someone who has, you know what I mean by fix. Generally, a fix is specific to the addiction. So my fix is French fries. So last Friday, I pulled up to a drive-in, rolled down the window, and waited for the voice to come. Then my phone rang, and it was Nancy. I knew that if I told Nancy what I was doing, she would tell me to stop. I had a choice to make. So I let Nancy go to voicemail, and I placed my order. You've done it. I got the food, put it in the passenger seat, and called her back. We talked as I drove, which I do not advocate at all. And I told her I felt like a hypocrite. That less than 24 hours earlier, I was giving my testimony about my eating disorder. 36.5 seconds later, somebody pulled out in front of me, and I slammed on my brakes. The bag tipped over, and my French fries went everywhere. Remember what 1 Corinthians 10 says? God will provide a way out. I believe that the Bible is real and active, and it happens today. Last week, it happened in North Little Rock, Arkansas, on Camp Robinson Road, right in front of Burger King, when God gave me a way out and threw my fix on the floor. Last spring, I left Mercy's Cross as my home church. I started attending another church over the summer and was confirmed into the Anglican Communion on December 6th. But I still come to celebrate recovery. I have not been consistent since my first visit 4 years ago, but I always end up coming back. My last story will explain why. If you are new here, or maybe you've been here longer than I have, I hope this encourages you. When I was little, my parents would put me to bed and go in the living room and watch TV. Do you remember Cheers? I think it came on every night at my bedtime. So every night I fell asleep hearing that song. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see the troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. I heard that every night and I decided that's what I wanted. That was my hope and my dream. I wanted somewhere to go where everybody knew my name and they're always glad I came. None of us here have the exact same struggle, but all of our struggles come down to one thing. We all need a Savior. And I knew when I walked in that door, you're glad that I'm here. I'm glad all of you are here too. The Lord be with you.